Hiring managers of Reddit. What was something on someone's CV/resume that made you either immediately want to hire them or immediately reject them? It was 14 pages. ETA. Finance position with 5 to 10 years experience. There's only so many different ways you can describe finance responsibilities, and summarizing is a skill. Dude never pitched for the interview. Haha. We had a resume for an internship come through that was that long and included his karate accomplishments in 6th grade. Had a kid applying to work at a Sam Goody as a stock boy, write that he was a petroleum transference engineer for Exxon at his last job. His job was pumping gas. I hired him on the spot. Yo, I reviewed a resume like that once lol. Kid wrote something like waste management technician for being a school janitor lol. I work at an escape room. We once received a resume that consisted in a web page address protected by a password, and 3 well-crafted riddles that we had to solve to get the password. We spent an hour doing it with 2 colleagues, and it included decrypting a code from a specific frame of Zodiac by David Fincher. It was simply amazing. Sadly, we weren't hiring at the time, and she had found another job when we started hiring again. Once I received a resume that had raid leader for World of Warcraft in top guild of a server. This was about 9 years ago. The other hiring managers laughed their asses off and said this guy is a joke, and they all dismissed him. Me. I asked the guy to come in for an interview, and he did pretty well and I hired him. The reason I brought the guy in for interview was because I'm an avid World of Warcraft player at that time, and I know the shit raid leaders go through. Trying to get a large number of people together, coordinate resources and rewards, getting guides together, and telling people to up their healing/DPS and not stand in fire. All done virtually via event and forum postings, meaning you never met these guild members in person. You need some great leadership skills and project management. Also at that time I was dealing with a lot of people off-site, so I thought this guy would be a good fit. 9 years later, I've left the company. The World of Warcraft guy I hired turned out to be great, especially in the last 9 years when corporations decide that working from home, virtual meetings is the way to go to cut cost. His skill set as a raid leader translated very well with remote project management, and is now the manager of the hiring managers that laughed at his resume. This was at a Fortune 500 financial company. TLDR, if you stand in the fire, I'm not healing your ass. Guy submitted a resume claiming to be a ghostwriter for a local college. In lieu of a college degree, he listed the units he wrote assignments for and the average grades his clients got. I had one application dropped off by the applicant's mother. She told me, if you hire him, you probably shouldn't trust him with money. Updated it. I threw the application away after she turned around. I was hiring for a sales clerk position at my family bakery. I had a candidate who worked in counseling in the past, mostly with kids who had been through trauma. They had a line on their resume that said, expert in child kidnapping. I had to at least give them an interview, because I understood the intent but the wording was just hilariously unfortunate. Edit, for those seeking clarity, he was an expert in kidnapping cases. No, he didn't get the job. Nice guy, but not a good fit for the role. My uncle works in marketing, and told me about an applicant who sent them a video file as resume, where he presented himself like one would present a product in a commercial. He immediately wanted to hire him for his creativity alone. I have several CVs that will never make the cut. I keep them in a non-GDPR proof binder hidden out of view. I work as an IT recruiter. Normal CV on the job site. Junior profile, 18 years old, just finished school. Pretty normal CV, except, at the bottom, he writes that he has a small donk and likes guys. The CV goes back and forth in the office. Eventually we decide to call him and ask why he put that on his CV. Turns out he had to make the CV for school, left his PC open, and one of his classmates thought it was funny to add that to his profile. A CV with a picture of man in only his boxers. No headshot, just his abs, boxers and legs. We did not call the guy. Several CVs with people ranting against the government, religion or anything else. Obvious proof of mental disabilities. People writing things such as, I will do the time for the crime I may or may not have committed. I haven't called any of them. Cover letters with the wrong company name on it. So many cover letters with the wrong company on it. Recruiters will forget to change your name when sending you an email. Applicants will forget to change the name when applying. We really need to get rid of mandatory cover letters. I'll still call them if their profile is decent. People being open about just putting their CV online so they can keep their unemployment benefits. At least they don't waste my time. I received a resume from an applicant that included a letter of recommendation from his cat. The letter was hilarious and signed with a clip art paw print. I thought it was great and wanted to bring him in, but the manager for the position wasn't as crazy about it. I guess the point is, humor in an application can work for you, but it really depends on the person. I was working for a small digital agency, and we were looking for designers and illustrators, general multi-skilled creative types. The boss wanders in with a sly grin and a big folder. It was from a guy who wanted a job. I came over, and he started flicking through it. Page after page of XE cartoons. Lots of them furry type stuff. Boobs, butts, lips, figures intertwined. Lots of detailed musculature. So I was like, well, it's quite good for what it is, but what else is there? Is there another section? Nope. Nothing else. Just a folder completely full of semi-graphic cartoon people and anthropomorphized animals. Edit. He was not hired. It wasn't because of the cartoons. It was because it was all just those cartoons. Would have liked to see some commercial applications of illustration, or something showing he could work to requirements, or a variety of work showing different styles. Also, this was 15ish years ago. I had a resume from a potential interview candidate that listed his reason for leaving his last job as, I found a body. No further explanation. You bet your sweet patootie I called him in for an interview. As a strategy to get an interview, it worked. The condensed story is that he found a body while walking the grounds at his job, checking to make sure all gated areas were secure and clear of the bris. When he found the body, he called the police. He was fired because he broke internal reporting protocol. He was supposed to notify his immediate supervisor and not outside authorities. It was the supervisor's responsibility to call the police. Bad emails. When interviewing for a professional position, and your contact email is 69 smokergirl 420 blazing, it's a terrible way to start the resume. Right? It's free to make as many emails as you want. Just spend the 3 minutes to make a second email that's firstname.lastname@domain.com for your work purposes. Not so much the content of the application, but what was on the application. A handprint. It was for a food handling position, and he was grungy enough to leave a print from where he held down the paper to write on it. Instant no. Looking back, yeah, there was a chance he'd have been fine. We could have taught proper hand washing and all that, but at the time we declined to grant an interview. I was hiring for a very competitive IT role last year, and one guy, who didn't have the best real world experience, added a single QR code at the bottom of his CV. I scanned it, and it took me to an online portfolio, including a secure lab with simulations he'd ran, allowing me to test scripts he'd written, and also play around in his lab environment. Honestly, I'd never seen anything like it. The guy got the job, and has continued to be a great fit. Had a resume come in from a guy we fired about 2 years previously. Had a gap in his employment where the time was he had been with us, so not even like he didn't realize. The confidence to apply for a job you've been fired from. Man, that's something. I had a headhunter submit my resume to a place that I had quit a year earlier. My old boss called me and asked, "You're not dumb enough to consider coming back here, are you?" I got my first IT job because I put in additional skills modifying Fallout 3 using GECK. I just loaded custom packs and got them to work, and they gave me the job miraculously even though I was underqualified. Many of us who are in IT are also gamers. And IT is one of those jobs, as long as you won't be running the place it's easy to learn on the go. There's more than enough of the simple stuff going on to go around usually, and as long as you at least try you normally will pick it up fairly quickly. Not a hiring manager, but I once wrote stuff like, able to plug in USB on first try, and can do up to 10 push-ups before going into sleep mode, in the additional skills section. They later told me I was invited because they wanted to see if I really can do the first one. Did you? Yes, but I obviously gave both the plug and the jack a very close look beforehand. The interviewer found it quite funny and I had a great time working there.